Welcome back to ReadyComicsRoll, and if you enjoyed this review, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm not crazy, I just see things nobody else does. I'm Anthony.
And that's the definition of crazy. I'm Dan.
And today we're going to be doing a spoiler review of The Meg, an adaptation of a best-selling book by Steve Alten. It is a best-selling book, believe it or not. I know usually when I say these things, you're just like...
I've never heard of it.
Case in point. And for anybody who hasn't seen any of the previews, the entire premise goes around a Megalodon, a prehistoric giant shark getting loose and just causing complete and utter chaos. Now, I tried to go into this. I actually have followed the book series for a while, and I also know that Steve Alten's had like a horrific time. This movie's actually been in development hell for, I want to say, I believe close to about 6-7 years, maybe even longer than that, until finally WB decided to make it, because originally it was going to go with Eli Roth. He was the original director that was planned, and it kind of jumped from like production company to production company until finally, against all odds, it actually made it into theaters. Now, for anybody who is familiar with the book, or I guess in this case anybody who's not, they did have to make a lot of changes for it to be an adaptation, because the book was a lot more focused on the horror and a lot less on the action. But I guess with a lot of like the shark movies that kind of been flops as of late, they really wanted to kind of get something that was more popcorn action flick, which is made pretty much apparent by the fact that they've casted Jason Statham as Jonas Taylor. Whenever you see his bald head in a film, you just know it's going to be non-stop action of some kind.
He was pretty much Jason Statham the whole entire time.
It was Jason Statham versus the shark, the movie. And some of the changes they made, for instance, is the fact that Jonas Taylor, again, being in the character's more action-oriented, he is a deep-sea dive...
rescue...
Yeah, like a rescue technician. And so things kind of go wrong. He's saving people from a deep-sea submersible. It seems like they're military. And unfortunately, he has to leave two of his friends behind because they have to close down the hatch that's going from the emergency vehicle to the submarine. Otherwise, they all would have died. So he was deemed to be crazy, messed up by one of the people he actually ended up saving, who's a doctor. And so that's kind of what gives him that whole PTSD and why we don't see him. Skip forward like about, what, 5 years or so?
5 years, yeah. But with that scene real quick.
Yeah.
Did you notice how many people were in the sub?
A lot.
There were a lot of people in that sub. He was missing too, and there were still too many people in that sub. Now, what if everyone on that sub was still alive?
They weren't saving everybody. People were going to die no matter what.
Like, hey guys, I have a sub full of people. Let's bring up... we only need 10 bases, we're fine.
I think what it was, that was more of like a Hollywood thing. It's like, oh, budget constraints. This is the vehicle. This is how much we can afford with CG. Let's go with that.
So people had to die.
People had to die, unfortunately. And of course, Jonas Taylor got blamed. They said that he was crazy, that he saw something that wasn't there.
Depth crazy or whatever it was.
Yeah. It's like depth psychosis or something like that. A form of PTSD. They threw a lot of sciencey mumbo-jumbo that just honestly didn't make a lot of sense. Such as the fact as you skip forward, you have the Mana 1, which is the research station that's it's about, 200 miles off the coast of China?
Yeah.
And so that's where this research base happens. So they're going down. You have Jonas Taylor's wife, who is amongst the crew, and they have this theory. For one thing, another change they did from the book is instead of it being the Mariana Trench, it's now a trench off of...
Philippines.
No, that was the beginning.
Oh.
So it's another trench, but they had this theory that the base level of the ocean is not actually the base level of the ocean. It's a
thermal layer
hydrogen layer of like basically a film that's protecting the Arctic like levels, ice cold water from the rest of the lower parts of the ocean, which stays pretty true to the book. So they try this, a billionaire comes on board, he's the one funding it, he's all excited about it. I forget the name of the actor, but he always plays like a comedic-based character. But so they managed to succeed, they break through, but what they didn't know is besides all this extra life that's down there, there's a goddamn Megalodon. And it ends up completely just decimating the ship, kind of leaving them stranded. And that's kind of what they used to get Jonas Taylor back into the mix, because his ex-wife is in there, he still has some sentimental value. Well, I mean, what else are we really going to call it? Because they even say that it was a crappy relationship.
Yeah.
Like that. It was there was a lot of flimsy excuses they give to kind of get the plot to go along, which from the beginning of the movie kind of seemed like it was going like really slow, like a slow build, kind of establishing characters. I think they put too much into what's going on. We didn't even get a whole lot of character building. That's what's funny. Like, it took forever, and we still didn't get too attached to anybody.
Yeah.
And then the second half is just like action movie, just full force, non-stop. Boom, 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 boom. The pacing was really weird in this film. Yeah, so that's what kind of gets in there. I'm glad they kept the relationship between Jonas and Mac. There's some characters that you do kind of like. I think the dynamic between the two of them was really funny.
I like the little girl.
Yes, absolutely.
She was pretty funny.
Ming was hilarious. And then, of course, because in an action film, you have to have like a romance subplot. So, then, of course,
I mean, why else would you go and do crazy, stupid things?
Where's the lie in that? But how the two of them kind of connect just so quickly like that was kind of like it was so tropes. There's so many tropes, and not all of them are great. But one thing leads to another as he manages to save at least two of the members. Toshi, unfortunately, left behind. They actually leave a door open for the Meg to kind of come through, apparently. And so it just wreaks havoc, so now they're trying to stop it. They managed to do so, of course, with casualties, because it's a big-ass shark. Of course there's going to be casualties. And then once they think they go ahead and solve everything, I'm kind of looking at Dan. I'm like, in the book, there was a second bigger shark. And no sooner than I say that, you kind of just see the bigger second shark come up and just grab the other one. Because it kind of threw me off as odd, because again, you had the varying size of the shark in the trailer.
Yeah. Shows it's like, as like big as...
massive. It's almost as big as the ship that they're in. And then other times...
And then in the beginning of the movie, it's like, it's
decent size.
About the size of a whale, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So then, again, we have more and more character deaths. So now Jonas has to play the hero. Of course, there's a lot of action scenes that involve Jason Statham's character, to where he just does some unbelievable stuff that he honestly should not live. I want to count, there's at least like 20 different times he should have died. Like, if it's anybody else who wasn't an action star or the main character, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
But they managed to at least kill using like a lethal poison that they jam into the Meg. They managed to kill it. And I'm actually kind of sad, because I almost thought that that's what they were going to use. It was going to swing down and go deep enough to where that's like in the book where the shark would eat the other Meg, and that's what it used to kind of break through. But that was another thing. Again, the science was kind of off on there, because how many miles down was it?
They said like 6 miles.
It's like even more than that once you actually get down deep into the actual trench where the Megalodon came from. But they made it seem like it was such a short distance, and then you kind of got to remember that that's not the case.
Yeah, they traveled pretty much from the science station 6 miles down. Yeah, I know it's movie time, but still, like, it was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, not even.
Like, he even like zoomed straight down. Forget the pressure. Oh, we'll bring it up because he had to pop his ears, and
Yeah, he was just like.
He's like, but it was pretty much just like, nah, I'm going to zoom straight down.
Which shouldn't happen. And then the way that he just shot straight back up again, he should have got bends.
Yeah. So to get out of the way of the shark, they like inflated like their balloons or whatever and shot straight up. Like, they're 6 miles down.
They bust the tanks, or they release the tanks, and it kind of does a shoot-up effect, which again, you have to consider bends and stuff like that. I guess that's more free diving that happens.
Well, no, it happens in submarines.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, they kind of throw logic and science out the window for that sensational popcorn action flick aspect of it, which I guess
is forgivable.
Yeah, because I mean, all in all, like some of those scenes were kind of badass. But then you have this, and again, the pacing's just so quick, because no sooner are we introduced to this new bigger shark, it's already going to one of the most densely populated beaches near there.
And they had to be more than 100 miles out from any civilization, but yet, like, the shark's headed towards civilization. Oh, let's, head on this boat, which, obviously travels as fast as the shark.
Even though they clearly said that it can't. There's no way they're going to catch up to it, but they somehow managed to. Or let's not even forget the fact that at one point, after the first shark was eaten by the bigger shark, it completely capsized that first boat. But there just happened to be 2 lifeboat vehicles that really shouldn't have been able to travel the distance that they went.
I think they were 25 miles away from the science station because they were checking on 3 distress beacons, which were shark fin guys. They were cutting the shark fins off of the sharks and
basically chumming up the waters to attract a much bigger one. But yeah, so all in all, what ends up happening is the rich tycoon, the one that's funding all this, he's like, yeah, okay, well, I've already called the Australian Coast Guard government and Thailand and everybody nearby. Don't worry, there's going to be a boat that's going to come save you. And then it ends up being a lie. You see him actually flying off. He tries to be the Billy Badass, also because he's trying to avoid being sued a million times over. So he gets depth charges. They're blowing up what they think is the larger shark, and they come to find out that it's not. It's a whale. It's too little, too late, as the thing's right beneath them, and it kind of just comes up. The people he hired, the mercenaries, they book it, of course, in hilarious, obvious, it's going to happen fashion. He falls overboard. He tries to get onto the whale. The shark misses him the first time, and I'm like looking at Dan because I'm like, it's so obvious that it's going to come back again, and it does. And it just chomps into the whale again, but it only leaves the billionaire's hand. To which next morning, that's when the crew realizes he didn't call anybody. He didn't let anybody know. This is all just a political bullshit thing for him not to try and get in trouble for the fact that he kind of was funding the project that let these things loose. But that's what brings us back to the whole beach scene. And the final conflict is basically just Jason Statham and Su Yang, I think it was her name.
I don't recall.
That's unfortunate how forgettable some of the characters are.
Except for name is Li Bingbing.
Except for, of course, Jax and DJ. Jax, DJ, and Mac were probably like the 3 best characters of that film. Especially DJ. DJ was literally everybody watching the movie just spouting out like just facts. Just like, I wouldn't be out here. This is some nonsense.
He was
the most rational thinker probably out of all of them.
He also reminded me a lot of LL Cool J from Deep Blue Sea.
He did! Oh my god, that's right.
If at any point he said, "They ate my bird," I would have
lost it.
Would have lost it on that. Good.
So they have this brilliant idea. They're going to go ahead and load up the 2 faster submersibles. Loaded up with like missiles, and I think also they put the poison sticks on there again.
I don't think they said, but I think that's what they.
That's that's the problem is they don't they don't really explain a whole lot either. So they kind of have a rush plan. They have an iPod or like a little device that just plays an MP3 of a whale.
They hooked it up to a speaker, and
apparently enough was powerful enough to travel through who knows how much. Like miles of sea to get the shark's attention to stop eating people.
On top of, he was at a beach, like, happily eating a bunch of people.
Yes, like,
but honestly,
lots of food.
For a shark movie, I don't think you saw but, like, 10 people get eaten, maybe?
There wasn't a whole lot of people that got eaten.
And, like, there were off-screen deaths, like you saw an arm.
Yeah.
But, like, otherwise, like, actual people getting eaten the whole movie, it, like, was a handful, if that.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's some characters that, again, you didn't know enough, or you unfortunately didn't get a chance to care enough about, or some people you rooted for dying, such as me and the Doctor. He's kind of a douche, even after he said, like, apologized. You're still kind of just like, don't really care that he got eaten.
I didn't care about anybody, really.
See, and that's exactly my point. But all in all, Jonas tries to lure it away because the ship ends up getting...
Oh, you missed it, by the way. Those whales did get eaten.
The ones that were singing?
The ones that were singing in front of the research station. They're like, oh, these are our whales. Let's give them names. They're our pet kind of things for our viewing. Yeah, they totally got eaten.
They got eaten. Nice.
Like, bit right in half.
You go for a pee break and you end up missing whales getting eaten. That's just what happens. But, so, again, they have this kind of harebrained idea. So it's the 2 of them trying to kill this Meg. They lure it with the whale sounds. And then you have just these it was, I think, like news choppers, not paying attention. They're the big cities of all, so they're crashing into each other. One of them crashes into the boat, pretty much exploding it, and then sending the rest of the crew. How many times has a boat got destroyed and people had to jump off into the water in that movie?
Every single time there was a boat.
There's destroyed, everybody's in the water, everybody's freaking out that they're going to get eaten, and something happens.
Like, something happens, like, everybody, like, any boat scene, somebody falls off, somebody jumps off, like, somebody was in the water at all points in time in the movie.
The shark's coming, and it's always either a narrow miss or maybe one or two characters get eaten. But it's like the same, they recycle that same formula throughout the entire thing. But ultimately, what it comes down to is now Jonas is the one leading the shark away, as the other submersible was used to save everybody that was on the ship that's now like blowing up and capsizing. And he like damages a part of the submersible, and he's like, damn, he tries to fire the missile, it fails, and it just rams right into him, it's chewing into his submersible. And I was really hoping they were going to do what happened in the book, because in the book, he kind of just dives into its mouth on purpose, goes to where its heart is, cuts it out, and then cuts his way out of the shark. Which, this movie is already sensational, like, in the way that, how over the top it is.
That would definitely be a Jason Statham move, though.
I'm telling you! So, it's kind of weird how certain things from the book totally would have translated much better in this film, but instead, the way he kind of ends it is he's riding the shark, kind of, because he stabs his knife into it, and that's how he's able to stabilize and keep himself on there. And then he just takes either a rod or maybe it was one of the poison sticks.
I don't know where he got it from exactly.
He pulled it off the submersible. But like you don't even know.
I don't even know what it was
because you don't see it long enough. You just know it's a long metal rod. So it's either another poison spear or it's a piece of the submersible that was just jagged enough to work. And just jams it into its eye and I guess pierces its brain.
Well, he also did cut it down the middle, like earlier with the ship.
Yeah, that's right, because he did damage the submersible, which they use that again because as tropey plot device as a way of narrowly dodging and just cutting right down the belly of it, but not enough to kill it then, which I honestly think it should have.
Yeah,
But so yeah, you get the kind of this cool actiony typical Jason Statham moment where the shark's jumping in the air as it like gets stabbed in the eye and then it just falls limp dead, and it has like a little death rattle, and then at that point Jason Statham becomes Aquaman,
summons a million sharks.
Like countless sharks just come at.
Think of the Aquaman poster with all of the
Except
sea
for
life.
just
It's just
sharks. Sharks. You had great white sharks, you had hammerhead sharks, you had mako sharks, tiger sharks. A lot of sharks that really wouldn't be, I believe, in that area. But again, we've already questioned everything else science-wise in this film. It doesn't really surprise us that they would go that route. So yeah, they're all just gnawing on this thing. And at one point, one hammerhead shark goes for Jonas, and then he gets saved by the other submersible just kind of slamming it. And the shark's like, okay, I'm sorry, and goes off. And that's kind of where they just end it. Like, everybody's happy to be alive. There's kind of the romance subplot where he's like, oh, I need a vacation. Little girl's adorable. She earlier on, there was the kind of talk where she's like eye-waggling at him. So she's like, oh, let me ask my mom. And then he kind of eye-waggles back at her, playing off of that joke. And then it literally just like, it goes back to the shark sinking. And then it just says Finn. Which, haha, okay, I appreciate the pun. Finn, sharks, sure. But they made it seem like we're really going to get an after-credit scene. So I'm going to go ahead and warn you now. There is not an after-credit scene. Do not stay. There's no point. We stayed all the way.
As soon as you see Finn,
it's done.
You're good.
Which would have been a perfect setup because in the book, again, I'm sorry if I keep harping on this, but I kind of feel like they could have used a lot into this movie. But originally there was the two sharks, but that bigger shark was supposed to be female, it was supposed to be pregnant. So that way, when he ended up cutting out the heart and he killed it, it ended up giving birth, like, right then and there to Angel, an albino Megalodon, which would have been really crazy to kind of see. And we didn't get that. We thought, I had told him, like, let's wait, there might be an after-credit scene, there might be the fact that it is pregnant, and they're kind of just doing that as a last-minute surprise. No, nothing. Again, you had a very slow burn. It became, like, super fast near the end, and just as quickly as there's the final conflict, it's already over. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm sorry if it was a little bit frantic. We kind of just got done seeing it. A lot of these feelings are kind of just swirling around.
It was the same pace as the movie.
Yeah, there you go.
As soon as you see the shark, it just keeps going real fast, and then it's at the end, and it's just...
So there you go. This review matches the pace of the movie. So, I mean, as far as score is concerned, I'll let you go ahead and go first. What did you think on a score from 1 to 10?
I'll give it a 6.5. It was a decent action movie, but it was the same shark movie you've seen a billion times.
You're just glad that you didn't pay for it.
I did not, and I'm happy about that.
I had to drag him. I'm like, Dan, I don't want to see this movie alone. I want it to be good. I know it's not going to be. Come on. He's like, if you buy my ticket. I'm like, fine.
But, if you don't already know, Sharknado 6 is coming out.
So at least you have that shark movie to look forward to.
That's what I'm looking forward to right there.
Again, I really tried to be not one of those people that are like, oh, I didn't respect the source material. I understand they couldn't go for the whole horror movie. They had to go more actiony to get people in there, especially with a name like Jason Statham involved. Funny enough, I would give it a better score than you did. I think it was a good popcorn flick. I think it's at least worth seeing in theaters once, and maybe that's it. Or if you're not someone who likes to go to the movies unless it's something you're really interested in, then don't. But I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I think it was still a solid film. It was still enjoyable for that one shot, and then you're good and done. You could say that you've seen it and you enjoyed it, and it was a giant shark film. You really can't go wrong with those sometimes.
Definitely a red box movie.
Well, there you have it. Again, thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought of this review. If you've seen this movie, let us know some of your favorite parts or some things you didn't like and all that other good stuff. And, of course, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And follow us on all of our social media. I mean, that includes Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and anything else you can see listed down below. Even join us on our Discord. Speak to the ReadyComicsRoll crew and some of the other rollers about maybe some of the movies you've seen, or again, if you've seen Meg, some of your thoughts. We have Twitch. You can go ahead and check out some of our random gameplay throughout the week. And of course, as always, if you'd like to help this channel grow, please head over to our Patreon page and become a supporter today.